Welcome back to the Witch Path. I'm Solstice Moon, and today we're answering the questions, am I a witch, and how do I know? Before we get to those answers, take a second if you're new here and make sure to subscribe to this witchy tribe. First of all, let's talk about what a witch is. She is a healer. She is a wise woman, a midwife. She was the one who people went to when they needed a potion or a salve or a remedy and many other things. Her role, though, was taken over as the patriarchy rose up and Christianity created fear and the devil, because apparently we dance in the moonlight with the devil butt naked. Well, they got it half true, didn't they? Then came persecution, trials, bloodshed, and death. Witches had to go into hiding, go underground, taking with them all of their knowledge and the books of shadows that they had created. They had to either hide them or they had to burn them. And then anyone who was seeking the craft had to copy the book by hand, or they had to copy it from word of mouth. It wasn't until, I believe, the 1920s to 1950s that witchcraft was publicly spoken about again. One of those people was Gerald Gardner, and he took what he had learned from his coven and gave the religion of witchcraft a name, which was Wicca. Gardner is well known as the father of Wicca. This was a mix of ancient traditions, practices, and folk magic. He wrote some books, and I definitely suggest that you check him out, look him up, research him, and do some reading. So it can be said that all Wiccans are witches, but not all witches are Wiccans. But all of us are pagan. So that's definitely something to think about. Also, some say that while Wicca is the religion, witchcraft is more a spirituality. Of course, this is completely up to you to decide on what rings true to you. Now, even though we had some people that were speaking publicly about witchcraft, there were so many that were still afraid to come out and claim that word witch out loud. Even as far as into the 1960s, we still had people discreetly showing that they were witches. Some of these ways were replacing a button on their coats with a red button, or I believe there was a bumper sticker that said, "I am one." And if you came upon somebody that you had a feeling might be, you would ask them, or you would say, "I am one, are you?" And they would either reply, "I am one also," or they'd look at you like you're crazy and say, "You are one what?" From there, we had some more books being published, little by little. One of those books was Starhawk's Spiral Dance, and I absolutely recommend that book. It is amazing. She shined a the part of witchcraft and Wicca that is very feminist, very feminine driven, and into the late 60s, into the 70s, that part of it was very well received. People, especially females and the LGBT communities, really took to that because of the self-empowerment that it offered. Then from the late 70s into the mid-1980s, there was still the thought of, to be a witch or a Wiccan, you had to be a part of a coven. But Scott Cunningham in 1988, I believe, published his book, Wicca, A Guide for the Solitary Practitioner. And that had in it a guide for self-initiation. So that completely widened the reach of witchcraft and Wicca to anyone who felt drawn to it. You didn't have to be a part of a coven. You could do this all on your own. And in 1985 in the US, there was a court case that ended up ruling that witchcraft and Wicca was a recognized religion and therefore protected under the Constitution, under the First Amendment of freedom of religion. So we have more books, we have more information available to us, and a constitutionally protected right to be a witch or a Wiccan, but there is still so much fear of coming out of the broom closet. Fear of losing family, losing friends, of losing your livelihood, your job. Now we move into the 1990s and we have a huge resurgence in witchcraft and Wicca that is also supported by the media, the entertainment industry. So then we've got more books, even more books being published. Llewellyn Publishing is really putting them out there, and we can get our hands on a lot of information. So authors like Laurie Cabot and Phyllis Curot and Silver Ravenwolf are all publishing books on witchcraft and Wicca. There are more witchy shops under the guise of occult and New Age. We get books, fiction books that are being published, like L.J. Smith's The Secret Circle series, and then of course we have movies like The Craft, and we've got Practical Magic and Hocus Pocus, and TV shows like Charmed and Buffy. I mean, who doesn't love Willow? And even though these are sensationalized for entertainment purposes, they had consultants who were actually practitioners of the craft, so that there was this baseline of truth running throughout it. At that time in the 90s, you could say that witchcraft and Wicca, New Age, all of it was very trendy. But that's fine, because it gave a spotlight to people who were searching for something, that were looking for it, and there's this huge spotlight being shined on, exactly what they need, and that's where I came in. So here I was, 16 years old, in high school, and I had felt like there was something lacking in my life. And I looked at my friends, and they all seemed so content and happy and fulfilled by their faith. And I thought, okay, I need to really find what works for me. What is it that is going to give me that sense of fulfillment? My parents raised me as Christian, not super rigid. It was, once in a while we go to church, and sometimes we'd say a prayer at dinner time, but definitely not really strict. And they were always very open to me, finding what was right for myself. I don't think they ever thought I would look for or end up in witchcraft, but they did let me, kind of explore. So I went to a couple of Christian churches with friends, and while, I remembered loving like Sunday school and all the singing, and I do really appreciate the themes of compassion and kindness. There are absolutely things in Christianity that I could never agree with. Then I went to a Catholic church, and I went to a few services or masses. Masses? Yes. And while the space was really lovely, and I really loved the ritual aspect of it, the kneeling, standing, with holy water, and just the entire ritual aspect of it I really liked. I thought it was very beautiful. There were still things that I just could not agree with, and I just didn't fit. And also, I had a problem with the idea that with Christianity or Catholicism, I had to have like a middleman to the divine, that I needed a priest or a father to, so that I could talk to God, so that I could talk to divinity. And that never really sat well with me either. So around this time, my mom was really getting into UFOs and aliens, and there was this new age shop that she had found, and that Christmas, my dad and I went there to pick out a gift for her. So as we walk in there, immediately I felt a calling. There was something in that store that I needed. And I mean, just the smells, the incense, and all the different candles and things that they had, it gave me such a wash of this feeling of home. Like there just was something there that I had to seek out. So as my dad was looking for a gift for my mom, I went over to the books and started looking through all the books on witchcraft and Wicca. And there it was, the big blue book, the complete book of witchcraft by Raymond Buckland. Now it took it took a lot of courage and some convincing to get my dad to buy it for me, but he did. And like I said, my parents have always been very much like, you know, you have to find what works for you. And my dad especially always likes me to have like all the information. So he did end up buying it for me. I started taking it to school, and during study halls I would do the exercises. Like I would write down all my answers, and people started asking me questions about it, and then you start noticing like other people who are interested in the craft, in witchcraft, in Wicca. And so some of my friends and I started talking about it, and we, you know, would get together and we talk about crystals, and we talk about spells, and we talk about, you know, everything that we were learning. I loved this so much that for one of my projects in my English class that year, I did a demonstration on how to cleanse and charge your crystals, because I was amassing quite a collection. And you know, I did that in front of my entire class. And yeah, I was nervous, but this was what was important to me. This is what was bringing me fulfillment. This was what was bringing me a sense of home and happiness, and you know, where I fit. And so during that entire demonstration, it was the teacher, it was my very Christian teacher, who was rolling his eyes. But it was fine. It didn't bother me at all. And afterwards, there were people who I never would have thought would have come up to me, and they were asking me questions, like real questions about it, and not being sarcastic or, you know, judgmental. It was very cool. It was just very eye-opening, and it was just very neat to have that experience. So fast forward to now, to today, to the present. We have so many books, so many, you know, articles and bloggers and YouTubers. There's so much access to information. We have shops, we've got conventions, we have festivals, we have Pagan Pride Day, which is amazing. And in 2007, the Department of Veteran Affairs here in the US put the pentagram on a list of recognized and acceptable emblems that could go on to the headstones of our deceased veterans. That is huge. We have so much access to information, and it's just amazing, and it's so wonderful. Now we come to the answer portion of this video, to the questions, am I a witch, and how do I know? There are some very good videos here on YouTube, and I've linked them below in the description. Videos about signs that you might be a witch, signs that you are a witch. And yes, while being drawn to witchy things like tarot, oracle, crystals, knowing that you're a healer, you know, looking into lunar phases and astrology, and knowing that you're empathic, while all of those are definite signs that you could be on the right path, you could be a witch, all you absolutely need to know that you are a witch is one thing. And I'm going to tell you. Are you listening? All you need is to claim it. Claim that word. Claim that you are a witch. And that is all you need to do. And I know you're thinking it can't be that simple, but it is. It really, truly is that easy. You don't need anyone or anything to give you permission. There is a quote by Starhawk in her book, The Spiral Dance, and it goes like this: "To reclaim the word witch is to reclaim our right to be powerful." And there is another saying, and I can't for the life of me find the origin of it, but I love this saying, and it is, you don't decide that you are a witch. You just realize that you always have been. So, am I a witch? Oh yes, dear. Yes, I am one. Are you? Comment below and claim it. My next video will be on the next steps that you can take on your journey of being a witch. Let me guide you. It is my passion. It is what I am here for. So please subscribe for witchy vibes and ring that sassy bell so that you will never miss any of the information that you need. Much love to all of you, and blessed be.